Hello and pnawn da. Depends when you're listening to this, I suppose. This is a part of a series of presentations that I've done on the new curriculum, developing different aspects of the new curriculum. And it's my views, my interpretations of the curriculum. With the new curriculum, one of the new buzzwords is the idea of developing a holistic curriculum. And when people like the gods such as Estyn and the Welsh Assembly government have decreed change, and very often there's a need for change, but nobody explains why. The aim of this presentation is to explain why we need to develop a holistic curriculum here in Wales. The framework is designed to help practitioners to develop a more integrated approach to learning. The 6 areas of learning bring together familiar disciplines and encourage strong and meaningful links. This is the words of what's included within the Curriculum for Wales then. The Curriculum for Wales guidance promotes collaboration and cross-disciplinary planning, learning and teaching, both within and across areas. This will enable learners to build connections across their learning and combine different experiences, knowledge and skills. Yeah, okay, that sounds great. But what does it actually mean? And as I've mentioned in previous presentations, I'm a massive fan of Simon Sinek. And Simon Sinek always says, well, explain why. And if you explain why, you win people over. I'd like to introduce you today to an age-old argument in education between specialists against generalists, with the aim of maybe changing your mind, or at the very least making you aware of the two sides, outlining how the Curriculum of Wales views these arguments then. In education, very often we criticise a general approach to, and generalists are throughout the world really, and for hundreds of years have been criticised. For example, jack of all trades, master of none. In China, for example, they're explained as equipped with knives all over, yet none of them are sharp. And maybe my favourite is the 9 trades, the 10th one is hunger. So there's a great deal of criticism for a generalist approach towards education. And I myself would have been 100% behind this viewpoint. I remember when the new curriculum was launched, there was a meeting where 200 teachers came together in North Wales then, in Fenyw Cymru, and Graham Donaldson was up on the stage speaking to all of us, and he was saying you're going to be responsible for developing this new curriculum. And, you know, he was very inspirational as a speaker, to be fair to him. But I was sitting there, I was sitting next to the deputy head of my school. And I was very critical at the time. I was very negative. And, you know, I said, right, I'm going to ask him a question at the end. And in front of 200 people, was there any questions anybody wanted to ask? And I put my hand up then and asked specifically then, what happens to GCSEs and what happens to history? And that's the same question. That question still resonates with a lot out in the teaching profession. And Graham Donaldson turned and he said, well, it's up to you to decide. And at the time I thought, well, he's just fobbing me off, you know, it's up to me to decide. And it was up to us to decide as teachers. The Curriculum for Wales has been written by teachers here in Wales. It's the first curriculum in the world that's been actually not written by academics, but by teachers themselves. And I was confident in asking my question for 2 reasons. Firstly, history. I'd always been a history teacher. I'd done a lot of research in history, and history was my subject. And I didn't want to change history. I still viewed it as vitally important as a subject. But I changed my mind. And the reason why I changed my mind, when I was teaching A-level history, why something changed. We'd very often tell our students to learn the acronym PESCA. Things change because of the political, economic, social, cultural, religious. What are those factors? They're all humanities. Yes, they're looking historically, but they're all factors in humanities. So I was actually teaching, although I was teaching history, I was actually teaching humanities to a certain extent. Similarly with the GCSE, the new GCSE had come out during that period of time. And, you know, I was partly responsible for writing the new GCSE, and I didn't want to change it. I thought it was amazing. I now look back on that GCSE and view it in a very, very negative light. I think it's a terrible GCSE, and I can criticise it. It's all driven by facts. Pupils need to learn so much facts in order to sit GCSE history. My daughter was one of the first cohort to sit the exam, and she said, Dad, I hated history. I said, why? I had to learn so much for history. I had to learn more for history than almost any of the other subjects. And you were the diawl bach that created that exam. And I look upon it, yes, it's, it's not the way forward. So yes, I have changed, and I've developed into the idea of developing a far more holistic approach to education. We need to break down the barriers. And I want you to take an opportunity to look at my lifelong journey. And maybe if I highlight my lifelong journey, you'll be able to see how I came to change that. And if you look very, very close at this, I don't want you to lose out. I'm worried you might not see it. And as you can see, yes, it's the guy at the end with the red rucksack. I haven't arrived there yet. I'm approaching it quickly, but I haven't quite arrived there. Okay, well, what is the point of this? I'd argue that nobody here, nobody listening to this presentation has gone down the specialist road more than me. I'm arguably #1 specialist. Of course, I'd love for you to come back and argue with me, but I'd make my case and I'd explain why. I've moved along my lifelong journey in schools and then universities. My fields of study became narrower and narrower, culminating in my PhD, which looked at the Welsh and the American Civil War. Okay, can you see the soldier now? Wow, it's like an optical illusion. I didn't see it right in the middle. Yes, if you look at the soldier, I can, in my opinion, and this is Huw's world, of course, at least claim to be one of the foremost historians on Welsh-American Civil War history in the world. Wow, that sort of certainly blew your socks off. I know you, as regards that, you maybe can be more specialized than that. So I am #1, I'd argue. But as I've grown older and wiser, maybe my learning has become far more broader. I now actually read books on education, science, mindfulness, religion, expressive arts, travel, far broader approach towards education then. I'd argue I personally changed from being 100% in the specialist camp to argue that we need is both. And that is an important element. We need a specialist, but we also need a broader education system for our learners here in Wales. Okay, great story here, love it. But the answer to me, but to answer a question, do we need to change? Why do we need to change? Why do we need to approach a more generalist approach in our secondary schools? Well, it comes to a certain extent the need to develop innovation and creativity in our schools. There are two different viewpoints on how innovation works and develops within education. The first is incremental innovation. Denotes the idea that drives forward innovation is gaining deeper knowledge, leading to a series of small improvements. You can see this, for example, with James Dyson and all his inventions. And secondly, then, the idea of recombinant innovation, taking two ideas from different fields previously unrelated and fusing them together, or bridging between two domains to open up a new series of possibilities. So you could argue that the first one, incremental, is more specialist, and recombinant then is a more general approach towards creativity. But by far my favourite explanation for recombinant innovation comes from the biologist Matt Ridley, who simply sees it as ideas having sex. I love that idea. It gives me a totally different perspective on developing holistic interdisciplinary curriculum. This is what he says then. Sex is what makes biological evolution cumulative because it brings together the genes of different individuals. A mutation that occurs in one creature can therefore join forces with a mutation that occurs in another. If microbes had not begun swapping genes a few billion years ago and animals had not continued doing so through sex, all the genes that makes eyes could never have got together in one animal, nor the genes that make legs or nerves or brains. Evolution can happen without sex, but it is far, far slower. And so is culture. If culture consisted simply of learning habits from others, it would soon stagnate. For culture to turn cumulative, ideas need to mate. Ideas having sex with another. I love that idea. And the idea in education, for example, that humanities goes over to the maths department and has sex with them, and science and technology going over with expressive arts. And I don't want even to think about languages and health and well-being, with the aim of creating something special. recombinant innovation. Okay, okay, not happy with that sex idea. I'll give you another possible reason why developing generalist education and recombinant innovation is so important by introducing you to the work of Professor Brian Huw, who looked at 26 million science publications across 8,700 journals over 50 years. Wow. He didn't do it solely, he did it as part of a team then. And they simply asked 3 simple questions. What creates great science? By looking at all these journals, what creates great science? What are the hot ideas? And are there any patterns for the research? And this is what he found. The papers with the most impact were those who had what the researchers called atypical subject combinations. That's to say, papers that bridged across traditional boundaries. These papers broke through the conceptual walls between subjects and thought silos, creating new ideas and possibilities, bringing these ideas together. What he described as the wow factor. Many of the novel combinations are really 2 conventional ideas in their own domains, but when you put them together, wow, that's suddenly changing something very different. Developing a holistic interdisciplinary curriculum gives us here in Wales an opportunity to develop something, the wow factor in education. But there's honestly nothing new to this. This is not groundbreaking. Wow, here you found all this. In a study of 15 of the most influential scientists, researchers found that every one of them were generalists rather than specialists. And unfortunately, none of them are women, but the Newtons, the Galileos, the Laplaces were far more generalists in their viewpoints. Similarly then, researchers at Michigan University compared Nobel Prize-winning scientists with other scientists from the same era. So Nobel Prize-winning scientists with other scientists from the same era. This is what they found. The Nobel Prize winners were twice as likely to play musical instruments, 7 times more likely to draw, paint, or sculpt, 12 times more likely to write poetry, plays, or popular books, and 20 times more likely to perform as amateur actors, actresses, dancers, or magicians. If we look at the founders of the 6 largest companies in the world, they're all generalists. Their success, according to Professor Salvi of Yale University, is down to the fact they are able to see the broader picture and are not encumbered by specialities. So if you look at the Bill Gateses, the Elon Musks, the Steve Jobs, the Warren Buffetts, the Larry Pages, the Jeff Bezos, they are not encumbered by speciality. Wow, that is such a powerful idea. Are we in education in our classrooms by putting our pupils into subjects? Are we encumbering them by speciality at too young an age? Similarly then with the idea of the polymath, generalists bring the best of what humanity has discovered from across every field to help them be more effective in their core field. Okay, you could argue that I'm very, very one-sided in my presentation, and one-sided against the specialist argument. And yes, I'd agree with you. But what we currently do in our secondary schools is so one-sided towards specialism. I wanted to counterbalance things. Very often today, if you want to understand the most current up-to-date views on education, I'd encourage you to look at the OECD. After all, they heavily influence Welsh government education policy. They are responsible for example, the PISA tests. And it comes down to really what I'd said earlier. If you really listened earlier, I want both of them. I want us to be specialists and generalists. And this is what the OECD says. The world is no longer divided into specialists and generalists. Specialists have deep skills and narrow scope, giving them expertise that is recognized by peers, but not values outside their domain. Generalists have a broad scope, but shallow skills. What counts increasingly are the versatilists, who are able to apply depth of skill to a progressively widening scope of situations and assuming new roles. We want both. We want specialists and generalists here in Wales. Okay, so how does this all play out within the new curriculum? The description here from page 6 of the introduction to the curriculum and is under the subheading, what's different about the new curriculum? And this is what it says, an integrated approach to learning and teaching. The framework is designed to help practitioners to develop a more integrated approach to learning. The 6 areas bring together familiar disciplines and encourage strong and meaningful links across different disciplines. Those individual disciplines will still play an important role, especially as learners progress and begin to specialise. The Curriculum for Wales guidance promotes collaboration and cross-disciplinary planning, learning and teaching, both within and across areas. This will enable learners to build connections across their learning and combine different experiences, knowledge and skills. The description clearly notes that specialised knowledge is still required as learners progress with their education, but is also clearly recognising the importance of developing a holistic, integrated approach to learning. As I've noticed several times previously, the Curriculum for Wales is merely a framework. It's a framework for you to build your curriculum for your learners. But the importance that's placed upon developing a holistic integrated curriculum can clearly be seen in the fact that every AOLE in section 5, designing your curriculum, has an entire section given over to highlighting key links between other AOLEs. I've taken this, for example, from the science and technology. It calls key links with other areas. So the key links for science and technology with expressive arts, with health and well-being, with humanities, with languages, literacy and communication, and mathematics and numeracy. This exists within the curriculum for every one of the 6 AOLEs. You could argue the guru, the godfather of the new curriculum in Wales, Graham Donaldson argues, subjects need to serve the curriculum and not define the curriculum. And that's what we may be doing in our secondary schools. And that's what I'm getting maybe when people say, okay, well, what happens to GCSE? Are we encumbering our pupils with speciality? We need, I'd argue, a paradigm shift. Okay, I know that makes me sound sort of intellectual. Paradigm is simply a fixed set of beliefs, ideas, values. That's what we have in education here in Wales. For example, the belief that maybe 300 years ago that the earth was flat and alchemy was the cure to everything. Once a pupil starts in secondary school, their learning currently moves away from generalist education and becomes more specialist, subject-based. In fact, it could be argued that connections in learning between subjects are very often no longer developed, and in some instances even discouraged. Absolutely bonkers. When I was, for example, a history teacher and head of history, I taught the First World War in year 9. The Welsh department taught Hedd Wyn in year 7, and the English department taught the poets of the First World War in year 8. Absolutely bonkers, if you ask me. Schools are currently following the same white paper planes in the image. The Curriculum for Wales encourages us to adopt a paradigm shift, to paint our paper planes yellow, green, red or blue, and travel in a different direction. Because after all, what we're doing here in Wales at the moment isn't working. We need to change. We have very often become prisoners of our paradigms. Stepping outside the walls, however, permits us a new vantage point. Although this might not provide new information, it does give us a new perspective. And I feel these new perspectives as vitally important. This really struck home to me whilst I was out in the United States. I'd already spent 3 years of my life researching the Welsh and the American Civil War. And whilst living in Harvard University, or listen to me, like I'll drop that in. I was asked by a lecturer then if I wanted to see a Civil War reenactment, and he was going to see it over the weekend. I initially refused because I viewed it as merely a bunch of wacky people getting dressed up and, going out into a field and firing blanks at one another. He said, no, come, it might change your views. I finally did go, and it did have a profound impact upon me and the way that I wrote my PhD then. It led me to reread over the 800 Welsh language Civil War soldiers' letters and view them in a totally new perspective. I saw them totally different. They brought the history alive to us. Matthew Syed and Rebel Ideas, I'd argue that as educators in Wales, this is one of the main changes we need to make as we implement the new curriculum. The success of future learners, he argues, will be developed by those who transcend the categories we impose in the world, who have the mental flexibility to bridge between domains, who see walls that we construct between disciplines and ideas and regard them as movable or even or even breakable. I'd like to end with a story. I know a lot of the stuff that I've talked is very heavy today, maybe to a certain extent. And I want you to take you back in time. I want you to take you back to a medieval era and traveling through the countryside. There are all sorts of dust. So you're going back in time and you're walking along this road then, the noise and the activity, you come across a man with a sledgehammer and he's smashing stones. And you go up to the guy and you said, "What are you doing?" And the man responds, "Well, what does it look like I'm doing? I'm breaking stones." You continue to walk along the road and come across another person with a sledgehammer. And he's also breaking stones. And you ask him, "Well, what are you doing here?" The man responds, "I'm making a living." You continuously walk along the road and you come to a third person on that road, once again with a sledgehammer breaking stones, and you're asking, "What are you doing?" And he simply replies, "I'm building a cathedral." The final stonemason didn't see his or her job as being trivial, but as a part of something bigger. As educators in Wales, to develop a world-class education system, we don't need teachers who simply break stones or are doing it to make a living. To me, this is why developing a holistic curriculum in Wales is so important. We are here to build cathedrals. And as educators, it is not our role to break down the subject barriers. The curriculum of Wales encourages us to do so. We need to change and develop a far more holistic curriculum for our learners here in Wales. Diolch yn fawr i chi gyd am wrando. Diolch.